Hello, YouTube. Welcome. This is a podcast, the Black Spirit Radio. This is your friend Tolkien, and we have amazing guests this week again. This is the fourth week. We are trying our best to give feedback and also talk about the general problems of the game. We're discussing, we're arguing, we're trying to find solutions to chronic issues of the game. Without further ado, let's get into it. And before we start the Global Lab changes, the node war and other changes, I'll try to introduce our guests to you. Hygaa, Avi, Carl, Nico, and Warlock. You already know Hygaa. Let's start from Hygaa.
Hello guys, I'm Higa. I'm the one behind the scenes organizing this sort of podcast. And again, thank you everyone for joining today's podcast.
Thank you, thank you. What about Avi?
Well, I am a 1v1 and open world only player who then started playing Phantom classes and won a bunch of things, I guess.
Okay, Carl. People probably know Carl.
Yeah, you guys probably know me from being PK'd by me. I'm an ex-Red player. I'm a Musa main since 2016 and actively have been playing the game since that year. And yeah, that's about it. I also stream the game.
Yep. What about Nico?
Yeah, hello, I'm Nico. Many people know me, probably in the P scene, but many also don't. I play back now. Yeah, that's basically me.
Okay. Warlock?
Yo, I'm Warlock. I play Succession Hash. I'm like Dumb and Dumber alongside Nico.
Yeah.
We both play, yeah, for sure. We both play in Sovereign Guild League at the moment.
Thank you very much.
And
Then.
I would like to include into the podcast Lolsi that he will be joining midterm. He's an awakening mystic enjoyer. He can maybe give us some insight on the counter side of things. He will be joining in the mid of the podcast.
So it will be so nice to just discuss the situation of the gauntlets with the gauntlet.
Yes.
At least we will be able
Yes,
to just find the
exactly.
one mystic main. All the striker mains, they are generally ignoring and dodging these podcasts because
We will
even
try
they
our
know.
best to get them.
Even they know, yeah. I want to just mention about this week's Global Lab. We didn't have class changes, just few balances and all other things. Some, tiny improvements on Awakening Striker. Did you shock? No. And what the fuck?
Yeah, the Great Fireball is invading you, bro. Unlucky.
Like gauntlets attacking my stream.
Yes, they're starting to DDoS your stream.
They just increased, the rewards of the siege. We talked about that a few times on our, podcasts. I just want to think that they, listen what we said and they increase it. Is this really enough from my perspective in, a real competitive siege or a node war guild? This is not enough, the rewards, but it's better than nothing. They also mentioned that they will just adjust the DP HP of the all structures in the northern siege, but it will be in future. We will see it maybe this week's official update, maybe next week's global lab. We will see it. So what about the tier 2 node war, siege, tier 2 siege mid cap? The win reward will be 3.5 bill, 1000 ancient spirit powder, 100 cron stones, 110 brilliant honorable this metal thing, 12 traces for the Voltarian, and 2 honorable loot chests, item loot scroll, blah blah blah. And if you win it with the point system that we already have, loots was like a little bit less reward but almost same. And there are other rewards. We will see it on the official update if they will change it and buff it. I would love to see it, they buff it. For the uncapped siege, 4.5 billion, pure silver, 1k dusts, 100 cronstones, 120 brilliant. I think this should be 200 or something like that. 12 traces, 3 loot chests, 1 more compared to capped version. This can be much more too. And it's almost same if you win it with the point system. That's how it looks. And there are other some, tiny changes about quality of life changes about the game, but no need to mention. Today probably we will talk a long time about the current situation of the imbalanced classes. And I just want to ask Hygaa, what you think about these rewards and the node war this, system? Like, do you think that they will make the structures even more unkillable? Or do you think that they will actually adjust and killable? Because like in sieges, killing Huacha is almost impossible. People generally dodge it.
So I think, okay, so the changes, especially for the rewards, are more than welcome. I do agree that it should be, okay, so I do not think that the income from the PvP could only mean raw silver, okay? They have given us already enough raw silver, but it's more like something that we can actually use to keep doing the content, right? We've talked about it. What about they give us more oil of immortalities, which is very limited in like nowadays. You can barely see that consumables, the immortal ones. There are barely any on the marketplace, and through alchemy you get barely none. So why not explore more ways to give us through metals, maybe through those soils, the chance to acquire more consumables, which is the main the void where we PvPers throw our silver in. So regarding that, it's more than welcome, but maybe they can explore rather than just silver. Give us something else. And for structures, okay, so I think it was Specs that mentioned it on previous podcasts. They could actually give more, more use to the utility already. Like if they make, okay, maybe just one guy cannot do as much damage to a structure, but if you actually make very important to the ballista, to the cannons, to all the utility that involves, node wars and sieges, if you give them more meaning and more effectiveness, maybe it becomes something better and immersive into the game mode. So it could be interesting, and we will have to see, because since this is the first patch that they touch anything about the PvP overall sieges, we should wait till see how everything starts getting its shape. Like when we started seeing the balance on the PvE and we didn't want to talk about who was number one or whatever, we have to see how the final shape of everything. But yeah, I mean, it's good that they start exploring these sort of changes.
Yeah. What do you think this situation is? I don't know how often you do this, Sieges, Aviel, but what do you think?
I mean, I do basically every siege. Not really because I enjoy it, but because the guild needs me to show up, right? Like, personally, the rewards are not really good enough because you spend like way more than 3 bill if you're popping actual consumables in the game. So I would rather have no rewards and have consumables be free and just show up to play the PvP than get a bag that is essentially just paying my consumables. That's kind of how I feel about the entire reward thing in Siege.
But this situation also, we have to just think a little bit wider, If they just if they just make the consumables free, this means this can affect alchemy, cooking, something like that. That's also a problem,
I mean, obviously.
Yeah, like they should find some
most
kind of
of the
solution
perfumes and things already come from PvP, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
What
they
about-
could just increase the rewards, like popping full consumables, not even talking about the new whales, which is completely criminal to pop them on large scale. Probably, depending on its siege, makes you lose around, like, 2 to 5 bill. It's a bit illegal. If you care about rewards, you shouldn't PvP in this game at all.
Yeah.
But for example, I gave this example last week. I don't know, like a few months ago in Uncapped Siege, I spent more than 9 billion in 3 hours, and probably it's more than 9 billion, but and I got only 3 bill. And yes, I want to do PvP, I care PvP, but spending lots of money to do proper PvP, it's not a good thing. Like when you do it like actual PvP, there are lots of people also just whining about this situation. That's why I said like these rewards are kind of not enough, especially in competitive scenes. Like I don't know, like I don't know how they can balance it. Sometimes some castles, castles get snipe. If it's in snipe situation, they're gonna get like lots of money or lots of resources for free. But if you do proper PvP right now, more than 2 hours, 3 hours sieges, you'll spend lots of silver to have fun. But at least make it free for us. Like we will just do PvP. I don't know how they can fix it. Like the only proper way, give us proper resources instead of 4 bill.
Like if it was just perfumes and drafts, it wouldn't be that big of a problem. But if you want to be any viable in PvP, you have to use red whales.
Yeah.
And using 30-second whale on cooldown is just, I don't know, it's way too much silver.
Exactly.
And they are so impactful too.
Yeah, I mean, it heals you for like half your HP bar. So
like they are just mandatory to run in any scenario of the current PvP.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most people don't use them in Node Wars and for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But it does make you a lot less viable than if you were to use them.
Exactly. What do you think?
Do you do any siege, Carlo?
I don't really siege anymore, so it's not really my topic too much, but a viewer of mine said to basically just remove the fact that we lose the perfumes and drafts on death, That would also be a way cheaper solution, perhaps. Yeah, I think the main problem is literally just the elixirs and the whales. Everything costs way too much to have fun, and yeah.
I mean, that's a really good idea, because then there will still be supply for PvEers that always used it.
That's the thing, right? Yeah, what Carl said, this is a question that I have for you guys, because obviously, well, maybe not, but I think most of us do some PvE every here now and then. What about if the same way that Turo hearts are dropped from Tunkuta, what if the oil of corrupt immortality was just dropped from the endgame spots, right? What do you guys think about that? Like, include another way to obtain that resource.
I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be nice. Yeah, please.
I mean, I would support, in general, the immortal market being a bit more healthy, or just more oil being on the market, because, bro, like, we will come to Guilding, but if you do not have an immortal in Guilding, you're spending 50 bill per Guilding match, I promise. It's completely criminal to PvP without that immortal thing, if you play not the carpet class.
Like,
Something I would personally like
Yeah.
is if like immortals are basically a PvP only item. I would like them or their supply to be more so obtained through PvP rather than PvE.
That's good. Yep, that's a good point. Because that way you wouldn't affect the, the demand on other scenarios. Just the PvPers would have that resource and they would get it as an exchange for actually doing the PvP content, right? Because you don't use an immortal version on any PvE grind zone. So it wouldn't affect that. It would only affect as a reward for, okay, half of the next future node war or siege that you're gonna have, it's gonna be, you're not gonna need any perfume or, harmony, because we're gonna give it to you as a reward. It could be good. Could be a
Yeah.
way to actually impact in this regard.
Like every stream or every content, every event, my streams, I'm saying that give us more immortal oils, please. Just give us anywhere. Like in PvE, add it. In PvP, add it. Like in RBF, give us lots of immortal oils that just make them event, non-sellable. Only allow us to make our elixirs, perfumes, immortal. So when we
Yes.
die, we don't care how much money we just, lose. Or give us more tendons, cheaper tendons, because nobody is actually hunting for tendons. We only get tendons from the medals, from the Node War Siege and all other things, from the other events, for example, or the daily rewards. The only way to get tendons is that. I'm okay, like life skill part, the hunting, killing a whale is just completely garbage. Yes, I agree. I don't want to talk about that. This is a PvP podcast right now. They can add to the word bosses, for example, so people can like if they want to go word boss, they can do it. They can add them to the party bosses from the seals. You can only get title, colorful title. Wow, it's amazing! I get colorful title.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? Like put it in my ass, and it just glow in my ass, green, blue, or something. Like what
Yeah.
am I gonna do when I have all the seals from the bosses? So add immortal oil, so this can provide more and consistent, consumables for PvP. Like spending billions over billions, it's not good. It's really not good.
Well,
Alright.
for the Node War system, they literally already have a system in place, which is the Node War shop. So they could just bring it back and you can buy your Node War consumables from there. It's actually a pretty good idea. A friend of mine suggested it.
Yeah, I mean the cost would have to be way lower for it to make any difference though. And I don't really think adding it to bosses to kill Sorka for the 12th year in a row is like the solution.
Yeah, would be nice. Like anything is nice.
I mean, yeah, but
People
I
don't
would
want
rather
to
see
lose.
an actual solution instead
Yeah,
of like small budget fixes here and there.
Because like Hygaa said that let's add them like to the few spots, but even we add them like in, for example, Dark Seeker Street or anywhere, like in endgame spots or any Ulukita spot or the spot anywhere, like eventually they will be mid-game spot. After 2 years, they'll be mid-game spots, and PA is too lazy. They're pretending like they're an old man with Alzheimer or something like that. They can't remember what they did to the game, and they just always ignore, and all the old content remain safe, and nobody will grind there. And again, immortal oils will be problem, or the resource that allow you to craft immortal oil problem. So they have to add them in game that continuously will be there almost always. Like Node War Seals is a perfect. They can change the rewards. They can allow us to get at least when I win a Node War, uncapped cap, they can just up and down. When I win a Node War, let me get at least 10, 12. 12 would be nice, bare minimum, immortal oil. Or decrease the immortal oil amount that for draft 1 perfume, 2 oils would be amazing instead of 6 oils. Why 6 oils, like for example? Nobody knows. Someone in the dev team decided that let's make it 6. Let's make this thing is a big pain in the ass so people can just suffer. That's what I'm trying to say, that they forget always.
Yeah, I mean I guess it was fine when the item first came because it was a big thing, but they never ever updated it, which is basically everything they ever had. So
Do we have anyone to talk about the siege rewards?
I think it's pretty crystal clear. We are not happy with overall the result, and it should be explored like other options to give us the consumables, which is what we are lacking right now.
Okay, so the first topic will be AOS. According to the schedule, we will start from the AOS. There are a few questions in here. I will read them. Then we will talk about the AOS. You don't need to just, follow the order of the questions. We'll talk about AOS. Here the questions are, how is AOS performing currently? I know there is no AOS, but overall, the AOS situation. How does this past season compare to previous ones? What should the ideal meta look like for AOS? What improvements would enhance this mod? Let's start from Hygaa.
Okay, so I've been playing for the past 3 seasons of AOS, and I'm gonna talk more about this last one because it's the one that I've played the most. I will let the other players that are here, because I believe everyone has played way more than me the previous ones. This last one has been very, very good for my side because my class excelled in that sort of scenario. But I feel like everyone was complaining of being way too squishy and there being too much damage compared to other seasons. I feel like this AOS would suit more okay, I get a solo play, I get one player down and I can kill him by myself. In other seasons, that was not necessarily true. You would need more than one person to actually, hey, I got this man down, communicate it properly, and, coordinate with your other teammates. I don't know, they're different playstyles. They are different, points of view that you could approach to it. I have enjoyed it so far. I feel like also this season was the first one, if I'm not wrong, that they bumped a little bit the rewards for the seals that you would get per match. Which honestly, I was spamming every day AOS matches, and at the end of the day, I just got a bunch of seals and those consumables that we were talking about. At the end of the day, during that period of time, I wouldn't have any issues. I wouldn't struggle because I would get everything from there. And yeah, pretty much it. I mean, the meta has been, different from previous one. Maybe you wouldn't see any Awakening Dracanias, maybe here in EU, because, the class got butchered. But other than that, Novas were very popular. This was the season where Deadeye got included. God's sake, Aviel may know it. That class was annoying as fuck to deal with the multiple hits knockback. Once you got used to it, sure, you could try to work around it, but with the desync issues on servers and video things, it was very unfun to get used to that class. And other than that, the popular classes, Berserkers were gonna be on the top. They've kept being on the top. Novas, I've already said it. Awakening Magus have been very popular. I don't know. It's been an interesting season and one that I have for sure enjoyed. What about you guys?
So about iOS, the thing is, in my opinion, there's two very mixed views on this game mode that last season. On one hand, I think it was the best season we ever had, and in some other aspects, I think it was the worst season we ever had. So what I liked about the season was the damage increase made being able to carry way more possible, and it honestly also made way more classes viable. For example, Sorg was completely useless before because you would heal everybody and your CCs aren't that crazy, and this season Sorg was quite playable, and I don't think anybody struggled with the damage that much, on top of them removing resist basically entirely with the crystals, which was really positive. But at the same time, like all the old issues that were prevalent in AOS did not get addressed at all. Like, I think I speak for many people, like, if you reach high elo early in the season, like, I played like 3, 4, 5 days, and I was like, rank 15 or something, and then you're playing with people 500 elo below you, bro, and you lose 35 and you gain 15. Good one. Yeah, I think I'm having fun playing this. So you have to balance the skill gap of mad elo on top of you not even getting rewarded at all for it, which is complete cancer. So this is one of the bad things about AOS. And the other thing is, quite honestly, Deadeye, because, for example, we have Avel in this VC, right? Avel was like rank 1 on multiple servers, bro, and this class was so insane in AOS because you would just spam your silly protected CC and that people couldn't even V, And when this class is debuffed, bro, you're just getting completely raped out of your existence, right? So even people that didn't spend that much time on it, or even quite mediocre players, were able to go 50% win rate, which meant that they were actually used on a class when on their old main, they couldn't even reach the ELOs they were reaching with that class, which is a bit not so nice if you're talking about a competitive game mode. And the last point I wanted to bring out is the win streaks, which just made the season, which complements the Deadeye thing, because people going 50% win rate on this Deadeye class just made them reach high elo, and all the elo was completely inflated this season, which meant, the elo was worth way less and meant way less because everybody was just able to reach high in the season due to the inflation. And honestly, at the early season, it wasn't as bad, but later on, it fucked up the meaning of elo quite a lot.
Yeah,
that was my TED talk.
I'll be honest, the elo inflation is obviously an issue if people cared a lot about Solar Incarnate and stuff like this, right? But I don't know, to me personally, you just looked at the number on the ladder instead of looking at the elo number, right?
Yeah.
And you would kind of get the picture. And if I was to talk about like how AOS was doing currently, I think this season was unarguably the best season the game has ever had.
Okay.
Even if the meta class of the season, which was Deadeye, was far broken, it was not like a class that was completely omnipotent. Like other classes could run it down. It wasn't like laying on the ground for 5 combos, then getting up, healing to full, and 2-skilling you, like a certain dragon class in another season. And yeah, I mean, it made a lot of classes and a lot of players that play certain classes actually get to like top ladder. Like, as you said, Swords, Awakening Lawns, I mean, class like this that should be very good in 3v3, but were never ever good because they didn't have the numbers. The classes would die standing to other classes, but they would never ever do any damage on their own.
And overall, do you agree with Nico about the point of Deadeye being an issue? Like everyone rolled to the class, and
I mean, there are a couple issues that haven't been fixed in AOS, and then there's always like the new class candle. Yeah. That's an obvious issue. Like the class basically had an RNG range grab from half a monitor away. And yeah, I mean, you could at some point, depending on what class you play, use certain skills that didn't get you hit XL, right? And you could kind of work around it. But yeah, for the most part, it was just bullshit. And yeah, it needed to be nerfed.
I am one of those players. I'm one of those players that got killed this season by Deadeye. I reached top 100 on 2 accounts, an EU and an A, first time on Deadeye, not even my main. I didn't have to use my Musa. There was no point to use it. I can't believe like the new classes that they release and what they end up being. But yeah, like Deadeye was 100% a problem, and I'm not even that crazy good at playing other classes. Maybe I'm good at Musa, but I can't believe how much it carried me, and that was a major problem. But I also do agree, just quickly, I really agree. I think this season was not that bad for a lot of classes. I think there was potential for a lot of people to pop off, and yes, it's never balanced. It'll never be balanced in this game, but I think this season wasn't that bad for a lot of classes personally. So I agree with Avil on that point.
So I think the classes that probably had the least fun this season, which is mainly because of Deadeye, was Bladers. Because they would literally just get stat checked, and it just didn't work out. Like, Meiwa didn't do well, and Musa didn't do that well either. There were a couple who got somewhat high, but not as high as they usually do.
I mean, on top of Deadeye, I think one class that has always been insanely criminal in AOS, or any type of content for that sake, was the good old Succession Berserker, because for that class, like, if certain players on that class, they just do their thing, and they play a different video game than you do on your normal class, because they just, it's so desyncy, and it's quite unreactable with the speed and the grabs. On top of the grab extent, which got nerfed by the damage, because Zerka could just die while not being able to V, but still the grab extent means you have to burn V, or well, you have a mandatory V burn, and before they made V unsniffable, meant that you were just perma-dead, because you couldn't even V away since, well, you were still in the Sky's hands in this season, right? And you don't have enough tankiness to tank the damage while in hands, which means that, well, Zerka just went rampage on top of completely TPing through your screen if you were fighting people like Ruby Puppy or Lucid or some of the high ping people for that case.
I mean, it's pretty sad, right? Like, this is the season where Zerg has been the least broken.
Yeah, I know.
Like, last season you had a 200%, you had Shies, and it was just, why
Yeah, I
even
mean-
bother playing the game mode?
Yeah. One thing they make, which I was happy about though, the Shy class also promoted the lowest skill gameplay I've ever seen in this game mode ever before. But this season it was actually pretty nice because the class was actually quite bad, except if you were cheesing a lot on it and your other teammates were locked in really hard, because playing
Yeah.
Shy last season was super hard. Like, you could see the best Shy players were struggling a lot on it.
I mean, Sykes could have made it work this season, but it was very hard to maintain high elo. If you got into these, like, random lobbies you were talking about, where one guy is very low rating and can't really pull his weight, and then you have the Shy in the team as well, then he's gonna lose. But if he would have started in the top 10 of the ladder, I'm 100% sure that Sykes would have been, like, top of ladder.
Yeah,
At the end
probably.
as
I mean, Sykes was also trying his best, right? Like, he was abusing everything, bugging into the wall, stalling perma. Like, yeah, this guy used every trick in the book and was still struggling. So Shy definitively got cooked, which is fine by me because I think the skill level required to be useful in that class is 20 times lower than any other class, and skill deserves to be rewarded. And yeah, fuck Shies.
Yeah, I mean, this is a point everybody's brought up 1 million times over the years, so I don't think
Yeah.
anybody disagrees on this.
One class that we haven't talked about much, and I would like to hear your insights, because if I am not wrong, did the last, not this one, but did the last season of AOS had a Meigu on it?
Yes, it did.
It did. Okay. Yeah, she was not doing very well. What do you guys think about the class? Because it has been considered for quite a bit now one of the
But
best
she was not.
PvP.
Did you say Awakening May good?
Yeah,
Awakening Meigu. She wasn't as popular as it is
No,
right
she
now.
wasn't. She wasn't popular. We were basically 3 people playing it on EU last season,
Um,
but it was still very good.
Yeah.
Awakening Mego was still very potent. It's just the thing is, sometimes in AOS, like, if people are actually not trolling, this class you could have like these 5-round matches on this class, and even the best players on the class would have like 4 or 5 CCs, because if everybody's watching out, you're not getting by that thing, right? So you had to resort to damage trading, which made the class a bit goofy against some classes, because it does get out traded if you play it bad.
I mean, I feel like this is more of an issue that came up now. When you had the fast spin before the Awakening Mega nerfs, it wasn't really like in your favor as AD class, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, it heavily depends on the player, but the class was still one of the better DPS classes. Just
It
because if you can CC like a Moose or something, you just spam 10% and they die from 8s. So yeah.
I mean, the main reason why it was still a very, very good class last season was because it was one of the DPS classes that were able to one combo on their own, which is like
true.
a very, very important thing. Because most of the classes, and I mean like 2/3 of the classes, were not able to one combo on their own last season.
Any thoughts, Warlock, on Awakening?
I mean, I played a bit of Awegu last season. Honestly, I think I would be surprised to see her being like a big problem the coming seasons now that she's been nerfed. Like, her CC pressure dropped heavily, and she is also worse at damage trading because people can dash out of her spin if they move fast enough. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, last season she was super strong for sure. I don't think she was as popular on other servers as on EU. I know I think like SCA had like a rank 1 Awakening Megu that was super high low, but
When you say last
about-
season, are you talking about like
yeah,
the one that just
the
ended?
the last one that we've just got. Yeah.
Like
Oh,
yeah.
the damage season, right? The current one.
yeah.
Yeah, the current one
Yeah.
that we are on the practice mode is the one that I'm sort of talking more.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about the like season before that.
Yeah, the season before that, the current one, I believe it wasn't as popular as it was.
No,
in
it
this
wasn't.
one.
It wasn't. It hadn't gained any traction yet, even though it was still insanely strong.
Yeah, I
It
was talking about the
like
damage
under the
season,
radar
yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
class.
So
I mean, this season it
Any-
was very, very strong.
Yeah. Any special feelings, Scar?
like
Can you repeat the question? I was distracted.
Any special feelings for Wego?
As a Musa main, I don't really enjoy fighting them too much, but since I was a Deadeye abuser, I didn't really struggle with that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I see.
I don't know
Okay.
what else to say.
So, like, you guys are talking about like some classes doing a big damage standing, or they're fast, they just pressure CC pressure and all other things. I think it just suddenly becomes like these classes, they weren't meta or like they weren't that much dominant in the game, especially in AOS. I think it just started because of the cap changed in AOS in the last season. They just gave giga damage. And if you can dodge damage, if you're fast, if you can just burst them, if you can catch them in fast, like if it ain't anything, like I'm not just blaming one class or one meta or something. On the screen, this tier list is prepared by directly AOS top players, EU, NA, MENA. This is an average showing that Awakening Magu almost 10 out of 10. It nerfed, but I believe if they keep the same meta, I think Awakening Magu still will be over 9 in AOS, because they didn't buff the damage, they didn't just slowed class that much or something. Deadeye nerfed, probably Deadeye will not be in meta in AOS. No Awakening nerfed, probably changed a lot. They didn't touch Tamer. Berserker Succession maybe even got buffed because 1v1 damage increase in PvP. Mystic Awakening is Giga. Striker Awakening, I don't even want to talk about that monkey shit class. Kunoichi Succession requires skill, like you so rare see people play that class, but definitely I like, no need to cry about Kunoichi Succession is strong in PvP. It's because it's based, like, that class is designed for
PvP class.
Yeah, Valkyrie
exactly.
Awakening is just there for utility. Assassin Awakening is PvP class. Probably next season we will see more Succession Assassin if they keep the same meta. Even if they not keep the same meta, with that damage, with that insta catches, with that air attack burst, probably Succession Assassin will be meta in iOS. Like, just take your notes.
Yeah.
Just for
both
records.
aspects will be meta.
Yeah, if they won't nerf the class. So I just want to lead in different way from this. Instead of talking about the meta classes, if PA gave different type of caps in caps, cap nodes has 2 different caps. Cap sieges have another caps. I mean, the other shit has another cap. AOS has another. AOS cap is a little bit different than there is no stat cap, but there is gear cap. You cannot just reach at some point of that. That's why when you have Shia, you feel like God. Your damage increase a lot because you gain lots of AP. Instead of just like creating different caps, let's just add to the game one cap, just one cap, and in AOS too, not gear cap, stat cap, and let's make all game in one line, and it will be way too easier to balance the game. Because in cap nodes, something different that, for example, they may say, Sak Musa is broken, but you never see it. It may only in Node. There is some kind of specific reason, because Node is just giving you some specific things, and it makes the Sak Musa meta there. Instead of that, one cap for every capped places in the game will make game more healthy. That's what I'm thinking. I want to know what you guys thinking.
I mean, it could be a good idea to like unify all these sort of capped content into one big one. But I do think, like, if I have to see it on a developer perspective, it might be a little bit more work than what they intend to actually commit into the game. Here's the thing, the current capped content is just numbers that they just throw in, they can change it, you with your gear go there, and you just balance it out. On AOS, it's just a completely different mode, and they just throw certain gear, and it just sort of happens into the hardcore mode. I don't want to get into hardcore mode or season or server. They just put you a gear and there you go. So I think for them, it might be a little bit more complex, but for us players, it could be helpful to have, okay, you have the beginner friendly sort of cap, the mid cap, that all the content that you want to do is all that it's going to sit on that cap. Because it will be unified, it would be shared across the entire community. Most of the community is going to be able to reach that point. And then you have the uncap where you use the real gear. It could be nice, but I don't know if they would commit into making it happen.
I mean, even if you only had one cap, it would take a very long time to balance, and I don't think they're willing to do it. Like, I think the only way you actually balance this game is that you nerf the classes that are like obviously overperforming every few months, and then you bring up the classes that are literally terrible at the bottom a bit. And then you can do this when something new pops up, because there's not enough players to get data on like what is actually like super broken in the game. Because there are classes right now that are really strong, but there's not a lot of people playing them.
Yeah, sort of like what we talked about, like the Awakening Magu situation.
Yeah, I mean, Awakening Magu started out as a very weak class, so nobody played it, and then they buffed it a bunch, and nobody wanted to play the class until, well, yeah, people found out that, oh, you can press one button, and now he's dead.
You pop people like popcorn.
Yeah.
I mean, Awakening Drug also got like buffed 50 times until people realized it's just that they like to buff their new classes, so people actually play it.
Yeah. Okay, that
or
Shift
they just
F,
forget about them.
And before Shift F, Shift E, they were just one skill. The Shift E skill was pretending like Shift F skills, and I'm talking about Awakened Drag as a flow. When we saw it, they just wanted to make that skill to prevent the super armor knockdown insta cancel thing. while you're flying, and in some certain situations it was just like very strong damage, super armor damage skill and shifty. They just keep the damage. They even buffed the damage if I'm not wrong, and they just separated and created another knockdown. They just created another monster. And like that's the situational awareness thing in our developers. They tried to fix the class, they just made the class even more broken, and we just cried about that. Like, I mean, I cried for Black Desert Online as an Awakened Drug player. I cried for 8 months. Please nerf that class, like, as an Awake Drug main. Also, Flowers tried to say that when we saw Shift F Shift T separation and the skill kit, we saw that this is gonna be big, but nobody just listened us. They just added to the game, and bam, for 8 months. The entire game was like all the PvP players or all meta chasers, they were playing Awakened Drug. And then what happened? They bared the class to the ground alive. So nobody's playing. Like, no class or no class masters or no players should feel that thing. This, podcast, the main reason is that when we see something is broken in this game, we should point out that. For example, in PvP, we're talking about Awakened Mygo was broken because of that. This class is broken, but and the baseline in AOS, they were broken because of the AOS situation. If you nerf them, they will feel bad in other capped or uncapped uncapped situations. Instead of that, we should find more basic solutions in this regard instead of specific solutions.
What do you think, Carl, about this sort of balancing around meta classes, a capped gear? What are your thoughts?
Oh, no. I need to skip this one. I'm a bit lost on this topic. I just feel like it's
Okay.
something that PA is not going to do. It's not going to happen, I think, in any way. I do agree with you guys, though, yes.
Okay. Warlock?
I think, I don't think they would ever unify the caps. I do think the workload is too high. Like, even though it's a good idea, like, it'd probably be healthier for the game long term, I don't think it will happen. But the thing is, like, generally, I feel like strong classes are strong in, like, most forms of content. Like, Awakening Drak was strong everywhere. Awakening Megu was strong everywhere. Like, Suck Zerker is still strong everywhere. Same for Striker. I don't think it's, like, that common that a class is good only somewhere, you know?
Well, that's an example of this is right. A class that is way better than any other class in 1v1, and it's completely obnoxious in Solare, to the point where the tamer can basically not lose the game himself. He just relies on his teammates to int the game for him. Because you cannot interact with the class, you don't have enough damage to kill it in SA, for the most part in Solare. And then when it comes to large scale and stuff, it just doesn't do anything whatsoever.
Yeah, in large scale, but honestly, I think Tamer's, like, pretty decent in Guild League too, like, pretty strong.
Yeah, it's alright, but it's at the point where it's no longer like a crazy class, Like, there's too many things going on, and it's still a forward guard based class while it's comboing, so it kind of falls off a bit. But it's definitely a viable class. It's just not one of the best classes.
Well, I mean, if PA was aware enough about their game, they could nerf, like, specifically what makes a class super strong in, like, small scale, and then buff, like, aspects that would help her in large scale, right? Like, they could nerf, say, like, the grab engage or something, and then buff, like, give her, like, a bit more protection in comboing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if they were willing to do this for Tamer, Nova, and Zerk, they could buff a lot of other things about the classes.
Yeah.
But now, all these classes relied on a broken grab engage, and it's just not fun to play against.
Even with the Nova change.
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
I mean, even when they try to address balance, it's like this Nova class, especially in AOS, but also in a normal video game, if you invested time in it, it was completely insane and really obnoxious and cancerous to play against. And they change it now so that none of any of the Nova players is still playing the class. Like, same with Drug, right? Like, they either completely book a class or they don't touch it for years. Except for Awakening Mago, I guess, because Awakening Mago also didn't get touched for years, but the nerf didn't do that much. So that's a thing. And it's not like they never balanced. Like, the V changes were quite controversial, but in my opinion, they were good because on some maps, especially in Solare, if you V, you're dead. If anybody remembers the C map, that map, basically you played the game mode V because V didn't do anything anyway. But yeah, they just need to do changes more frequently. That's basically it. I think people wouldn't even cry if they were doing a lot of bad changes in a row if they would actually do changes more than twice a year.
One quick thing that I was gonna add: every time I think about the Awakening Tamer on large scale, I just go into her bomb, right? I think her bomb was very good, and somehow it is not good anymore. So maybe give back that sort of utility, right? Like being a 100% bomb class to do this sort of type of engages. It could give her...
Back in the day when her ult killed you in 0.2 seconds or what?
Oh no, for sure, but we didn't have the gear that we have right now, so it would be an interesting situation to see, right? It could sort of give her, she's not gonna be like, I don't know, big AoE damage, but she's gonna have the bomb and she can just dance around the blob, go in, grab this target, run out, bump here. I mean, the class doesn't need to be good in every sort of scenario, but maybe try to give her back. I don't know. Could be a way to...
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're willing to nerf the grab.
Oh no, for sure. Like that shit's obnoxious. Like if I have a nightmare, is right now there's two things, which is Awakening Tamer and Ruby grabbing me on Neon Guild League. But yeah, those are my two current nightmares.
It's very nice that all the Suxerks that are doing super well in AOS have one thing in common. And
Yeah,
it is
they
a
have
terrible network connection.
I mean that as well. I don't know if
And
anyone Turkish guy, that guy was also a demon of
yeah. I'm gonna throw this question here because we've been seeing this sort of pattern of trying to help the servers, reducing the amount of hits, trying to lock down Novas on the mobility burst, all these sort of minor changes, and suddenly they mention the mouse movement mechanic. What do you guys think? Are they gonna do any touches to that? Are they gonna remove it? What do you guys think?
I mean, I'm just guessing. No?
It's just a guess, right? But yeah.
I mean, I would like to see it.
It'll be a
to some
healthy
extent.
change.
Yeah.
To remove mouse move, it'll be a very healthy change. For players and whoever else abuses it will be very upset. I've already had people being upset about it, and it's not even gone to live yet. Zerker players, I get it. It's like a class identity, but it's not the way that a class should be designed, is my take on it, right? Like, you shouldn't be carried based off of desyncy mouse movement in the game, so I'm really hoping they remove it. I wish it's a feature that would work in this game, but because of how the game is, it just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, there's a lot of old classes that are like kind of forced to use it. I used to play Saklan a lot. And basically, 90% of the things you do is mouse movement. And it's like, I would much rather have good camera control than permanently move my character with my mouse. And then you get hit XL, then you're like, well, walk and now you're dead. And it's just annoying too.
Yeah.
So I feel like the only class that actually enjoys it is Zerk. And they just benefit too much from it.
I mean, mouse move is a cool and interesting game mechanic. The thing is just, in my opinion, well, it is cancer on Saxark, but they should just nerf Saxark instead of nerfing mouse movement for all classes. On top of that, mouse movement is, believe it or not, in my opinion, it's actually a skill that you can learn, because even comparing Saxarkers, there's like Zerkers that desync magnet you way more than other Zerkers, which means obviously there has to be something. So I would just like them to nerf Saxark, which is literally the only complaint about, the main complaint about mouse movement.
Okay. That's a valid point. Warlock? Oh, sorry, Quenya. You can.
Yeah, this game engine can handle the mouse movement. I would love to. Yeah, if you would be able to react the mouse movement instantly, that would be nice. Like people can use the mouse movement if they think that they're a good player. If this is a some kind of if this is some kind of thing that you can understand, this player is better than the other one using mouse movement or something, but we cannot react it. That you can if you cannot react something, it doesn't make you a better player. So at the end of the day, people may feel bad, but this game cannot handle, so they should remove it. Yeah.
Warlock, thoughts on this?
Yeah. Honestly, I've been playing a bit of Zerker lately, and like I think the class would be very skilled. I think the class would be fine without mouse movement. Like the choice streamer, he barely mouse moves, and he got like 3k Solare low in NA. Okay. And also, the thing is, the grab magnet, where he suddenly teleports on top of you and grabs you, that usually happens just because the grab engage is super fast. I think it would still happen even without movement. Like, not... Lava Piercer into WF needs to get slowed down. It's way too fast.
Okay. Before we sort of close this AOS topic, I would like to give 2 more questions that they're gonna be sort of quick. And it would be, would you guys like to see sort of like in League, whenever they release a character, to make it impossible for that new character to join the games? Would you guys enjoy that?
What do you mean? You can't play the new class in AOS for...
Yeah, for example, that I got released for
season?
these... Yeah, it would kill the class, right? It would be actually bad. But
like, I don't think it matters that much. I don't think the game is alive enough for you to justify doing it.
Okay.
People want to play the new class, especially in a game mode that is completely capped, where anybody in theory can join. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me to lock out a class.
Funny.
Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, talking about the caps and shit, I think the caps in everybody usually hates caps, but the caps in AOS makes the game way more healthy than any other uncapped
Yeah.
cap I've played since the Diablo works, in my opinion, which is
That's
kind of
true.
funny.
I mean, everybody would probably not agree with you on this. Like, there are definitely classes that perform shit. And I mean, an example of this is like Sakura Arcania, slow classes like this, right? They're just completely unviable in the series season. Not that I personally think that these classes should ever be balanced around, because every time something like a Musa or Sakura Arcania is meta or really good, it's just an indication of a stat stick being way too strong.
Okay. And the last question that I want to point out in this sort of, because we also talked a lot about Deadeye. And this goes for you, Carl, and Naviel, that you both have played a lot this class. Do you guys think that the approach that PA has had with this class has been the correct one, like in terms of nerfs?
Yes, I think it's fine. Like, she basically doesn't CC anymore, but she still does a lot of damage. So she's still a very playable class. I think it's much better than the changes they do to like Awakening Megu, or I mean, I would say Nova, but they literally kill the class. So
Yeah.
After the
What about you, Mark?
changes, it killed the class, but I didn't have a strong interest in it anyways. It was more of a new class just to check out, make some content about, and obviously abuse it. But I think, yeah, I agree with Avio. Like, I don't think it killed the class. It still does loads of damage. Still is great for Guild League, as my guild uses Deadeyes all the time there. It lost all of its CCs, and I just playing a class that has like no CCs. I mean, she has CCs. She has like 2 stuns, but like they're hard to like land. That's what killed it for me the most. I want to play something that can actually like pop a CC onto somebody. But yeah, she's still very viable. So I think it was a good update.
With me personally, like, I think this is for most people. Previously, you only faced Deadeye really in Solare, but playing Guild League made most people realize how capable this class still is, because quite frankly, this class is harder to grab than Awakening Sage, in my opinion. And sometimes, if they decide to do the funny dash through, you die one shot, or you have to pop the other HP reactively. So the class is still quite capable, might having the weakness of, well, everybody running after you, and you have to run circles for 50 years every Guild League game.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I would not put Deadeye in the same ballpark as Awakening Sage in anything.
Yeah, I
right
wouldn't
now.
either. I would compare her maybe to Suckmego. I don't know if it's
Yeah, I mean, it's like Awakening Dosa, Suckmegu.
Yeah, some sort of range follow-up.
Yeah, kind of.
Big chunk of damage.
You have a bunch of classes you can pick from, basically. That do something. Deadeye is a bit stronger if you're playing into tankier comps, and the more DPS there is, the weaker Deadeye, because she's a perma SA class that just moves in SAs, so if there's a lot of trade damage, she's gonna die stunning.
Okay. Did you have any feelings with Deadeye? Did you hate her?
I mean, if the meta chaser is not playing the class anymore, it doesn't show that class is dead. I believe that class is still nice and viable potential. We will see it in the Solare when they release it. It's too early to say something certain, but I believe that she will not be anymore meta. Maybe some, real mains can become like in top 100, but we will see. It also depends the new caps. Every season they change caps. I like the latest caps, but every cap, every stat situations, every gear situations, every crystal situations, every new AOS brings new meta in itself. What I'm expect from PA, let's just react the feedbacks from players. Fast reaction. Instead of, nerfing classes after 2 months, 3 months at the end of the AOS, season. Every 2-3 weeks, check which class is on top, talk with the class masters if need, why these classes on top, but just don't check Korean AOS, because I saw Awakening Wizard number 1 in AOS like 2 seasons ago. I don't even want to talk about that. Talk with us. Talk with proper PvP players, not Korean community. They're just PvP player. There's so low amount of PvP players in Korea. So talk the actual PvP players. Get feedbacks. For example, Deadeye. Why Deadeye is broken? Because of multi-hit CC. Because of that. Because of stamina. Something blah blah blah. Why Awakening Sage? This one. And nerf them in few weeks. Not at the end of the AOS. Not like after 2 months, everyone will just abuse it. Top 20 will only be three classes. They're not even their main, but they sit on top 20. I don't want to see it. Every situation will create its own meta, but if PA reacted, they can keep balance in it. But maybe at the end of the day, maybe after 2-3 seasons, they can create maybe close to perfect balanced AOS. Because I also have to say this one. PA is not selling costume, PA is not selling other things in AOS. People just create accounts or people just log into game, they go in AOS, it's completely free mode. So just keep making it balanced or imbalanced will not give you make the money, or like it's not, you know, creating a PV meta or uncapped meta or something. It's AOS. I would love to fight in AOS like with my Awakened drug, but it was impossible. When I just reached 1.3k after 10 matches, 1.3, 1.4k, I saw that even the random, I don't want to say, but even the random noob knows that, hey, it's so easy to just CC you. I just poke you from behind and you dead. Like, no class should feel that. Also, no class should be top 20, 3-4 classes, same. I don't want to see that. PA should react faster, especially about the class balance in the game. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean,
Go on.
Yes and no. Like, it's so hard to sit and say this though, because everyone playing that class are not equally good, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you look at NA, for instance, you have Armin playing Suck Ninja. I think he ended up rank 4 or something on the ladder. And there's nothing about this class that should make it end up that high. So I don't want to glaze or anything, but he's obviously a tiny bit better than a lot of the people playing in the region. So how are you going to balance this class?
Yeah.
Because you have no data on it whatsoever. You have one player.
But not one player, but I'm trying to say that if like people calling that Deadeye is broken, if everyone is saying that Deadeye is broken, for example, I created AOS tier lists at the end of AOS, of course, like they should ask this question in the middle of AOS, in the 3rd week, 2nd week. Why these classes on top? Let's check the details. Let's ask to the players, not Korean players, by the way. I have no trusts on Korean feedbacks. PvP, class balance.
You shouldn't have trust on any individual player playing the class, because literally everybody is class biased. I don't know if you remember, what's it called? The best in class thing with the Unrivaled and Godlike titles, where they went and asked the players afterwards what they wanted buffed and nerfed in their classes. And then half the players that played like weak classes wanted a tiny buff, and they got it, and it was fine, the class was alright. And then you had classes that were already weak that somehow also wanted buffs. They were already strong and they wanted buffs. And the class ended up even more broken.
Yeah.
Like, some classes ended up straight up obnoxious after that. Because, some people were a bit delusional while others were realistic. I don't think asking players is always the best solution when it comes to PvP balance.
It has to be actual committed people that knows what they're doing and don't ask for crazy stuff. But if anything that we've learned throughout the years, and especially throughout this batch of balancing, it takes PA actually, it takes them a lot of effort. I think that outside, like, we see everyday quality of life changes that they're amazing, they're super good. But for some reason, balancing for them, it's such an effort. And I don't expect many classes being touched in balancing regards throughout the upcoming PvP changing. That's
you can literally flip a coin and something's going to get buffed on nerfed. Sage, for instance. Sage needed some form of buff, probably to the stamina. But instead, they ended up making it probably one of the most obnoxious classes I've seen in a very, very long time.
Paired the damage with the mobility was not the key. We didn't need... For PvP, I don't think we didn't need much damage changes. More like, okay, I want to stay around a little bit longer. Not actually do damage while being a little bit longer, while sustaining, and while having all my damage skill cooldowns being reduced to 7 seconds, 10 seconds. It's just a little bit too much. I think we talked about it with Archive, Tassader, and Rockon in here.
Yeah, upsurge 7 seconds, by the way. A good change, I think.
Yeah, like it has to be done. Honestly, I'm an Awakening Sage here. I think most of the community agree. Awakening Sage community agrees. Those are the changes that had to be or have to be done for the class.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I feel like somewhere down the line, you just gotta stop expecting PvP things out of this company. It's been a straight downhill for the past 6 years, and I don't see them making anything meaningful. They did one thing that was like the healthiest thing that has ever happened to the game, and that was removing slows, basically. Because you didn't get permanent slowed every time you tried to play the game. I mean, that's like basically the one positive thing I have to say about PvP in the positive. I like the...
Carl is thankful for that, playing Musa.
I mean, I still get grabbed all the time anyways, but I
Yeah.
am thankful. Yes, that is one massive thing that I think made everybody a lot happier to be able to like actually play their class a bit at least, right? And not deal with permanent slows. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
At
Like,
the end
I
of
would
the day,
like to.
the end of the day, we see again fast reaction. Listen community what they say. Not specifically. Everyone says Sage Awaken broken. Okay, let's check the Sage. Everyone says slows are broken. Okay, resists are broken. Okay, like fast reaction, I believe that they can make better in long term, like anything. Just fast reaction.
I'll be honest, I'm gonna be a bit annoyed if like removing resists ends up being like some form of content update at this point, because for the most part, resists are not that big of a problem in PvP nowadays.
Yeah,
It
right
really
now
is.
not.
I don't see people stacking resists that much
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah,
But,
well, that is
because
because they are always stacked, by the way, because of this little girl class that is mandatory for
Yeah.
any type of PvP.
It's giving 40% resists.
I mean, the thing is, with resist, the only thing that annoys me personally is on some classes that are CC based, which is mostly the older classes, because the newer classes are trading based, you're forced to stack ignore, which means compared to the newer classes, you're losing 10 to 20 gear score in crystals, because you need to drop that much of either AP or DR. I mean, around, this is like not an exact number, but you need to drop quite a bit of stats to afford to ignore resist. But some classes don't have this issue, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying about new classes and this stuff. But the thing is, most classes nowadays play a completely protected neutral game where they spam some CC that's SSCC, whatever. It resists, it's not the end of the world. Like back when this was an actual problem, what you re-CC'd with was like slow or unprotected, and the guy got up and grabbed you. I don't really see this being a problem in the majority of PvP scenarios right now. Like
Yeah,
if you're doing a duel nowadays, you're not dueling someone who runs the resists.
Yeah, and in a duel you can anyway. I mean, I play a class that's really reliant on CCs, and I'm not having an issue with ignore at all. Them fits if they want to fix anything for PvP, they should fix the tanky stats, bro. That's like the #1 priority in my
Yeah,
opinion.
100%. Like I'm not defending resist or anything here. I'm just saying that like they
Not
just
the
fit whatever. It's not a big deal. Yeah, just
Yeah.
get rid of it. Who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't like exactly ruin the game for me anymore.
It's
I
just
don't
simple.
want it to be like a big update. Like, oh guys, we did it. We removed resists.
For
Thank
resist
the Lord.
solution is simple, I can say that. They can just buff the ignore res crystals, double the stats. So when I just use ignore knockdown, I can't remember the name, the sub-weapon crystal, old sub-weapon crystal, I shouldn't feel like I'm griefing myself. When I just use it, it should give me the AP that I need. Also, instead of 10 ignore, give me 20 ignore. So there will be no problem. Like something like that. It's simple solutions instead of removing the entire resist in the game, because resist is one of the basic defensive stats in the game. In PvE, in PvP, we even have hidden PV resist in the game. We're not using them right now, but just increase the crystal values and the stat values in the crystals, double them, triple them. Because while you're just using one adamantine, you're getting 25 knockdown res, but when you use one crystal, you only get maximum 10 in best scenario. So they can just buff it. They can equalize them. For one crystal. Win-win. You just sacrifice AP or DP, use resist. You just sacrifice AP or DP, you just got ignore. Simple. And also the shy resist should be, if you guys agree with me or not, they should be 100% PV resists. That 40%. 100% PV resists. Like, I don't know if you guys know, if the list, like if the old people in the chat know, there are hidden stats, the PV resists in the game. You might see it in the Lightstone sets. It says debuff resistance against monsters by 50% or something. In the Black Star armor set has it, if I'm not wrong, by 10%. There are resources that you can get it. If they reach 100%, you'll be just completely, resist. You can resist the all CCs from mobs. This is completely different stat. The PvP resist completely different. We already have the solution for the resists. Just make the shy buffs 100% PV resist. Then problem will be solved.
I don't feel or at least I don't know of anyone who still runs resist crystals. Or like, sure, a lot of people run the Jin ignore, 1 or 2 of them maybe. You still get some AP from that. But stats are just so important right now that it's kind of hard to give them up. Like, especially if you run a lot of accuracy, right? You need the backup AP to do damage to gauntlets, or you they just have to
maintain your heads out, yes.
Yeah.
For me personally, resistances, I do not enjoy the luck component of it. Like, if I am landing on a gap and then I kind of re-CC you, it just feels wrong, honestly. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I just want to add real quick on the resist. Like as a Musa main, it was always just really demotivating to. Well, it was hard to see people for most of the time anyways, even before we got so many additional protections to classes, but like just outplaying somebody without a grab and then just getting resisted, like a Zerk resisting me or something and then instantly grabbing me. I mean, that's just demotivating me so much to experience. But like you guys said, it's definitely a lower priority now because we have other bigger issues at hand to work on first.
Most
but,
definitely.
I mean, it was a like mix of a lot of things back then. If you like CC the Zerk, you were slowed, and then you had to greed a CC on them to CC him, maybe kill him.
Yeah.
If you got resisted, you're 100% dead because you were already slowed, and your animation would be too long.
My life.
All right.
I think we can talk about a little bit RBF, then we will go for
Yes.
the actual thing, the Guild League, after then the RBF. What you guys think about the current RBF? Do you think that we need more things in RBF? The rewards are viable? Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I think RBF, if anything, should have 1 silver consumables. Like, I have
Yes.
no argument against this. It does not make any sense why you cannot have like instance locked consumables that you use in there, because it's just like for fun. There's no, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose.
It's just a for fun filler kind of content, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like
It's
if you had access to all
just-
these things, it would be more fun for people
It's
to
just
go and
sad
play.
that in order to enjoy that mode, you just have to pop a giant rather than other buffs. So why not just?
Yeah,
give
but
it-
it's also like a striker playing on one perfume the entire match. He just stands in your spawn basically, and then you play a
Yes.
DPS class, and you're on perfume hotline using 10 a game or something, you know.
So they can add an NPC to RBF. That NPC provides you any type of buff that in game, like human draft, human harmony, or like a Calc Elixir, or like the armor draft, or anything.
The dude that
Specifically
already stands
for
there and sells
only RBF.
potions.
When RBC, you will lose the stats and you'll just turn into normal life. Simple. Like
Yes.
it's so simple to just fix these problems. Yay! I love you.
Because then, if this was the case, then they're like, yes, you get very mediocre silver in there right now, but if you didn't have to pay for consumables, it would actually like pile up while you're kind of having fun, I guess.
Yes.
That's
And
the
it
only
would-
thing I'd say about RBF. I
Yeah.
don't care past that.
And this solution would make one of the core issues that I think this mode has, which is funny enough. I think historically the mode has not been very populated. And just by the mode itself, it could be fun, like the idea of going into an arena and just fighting everyone, getting a bunch of kills, all that. It's cool, and the rewards are not that awful now for the time that you use. It's not comparable to PvE, right? But it's just the fact that by committing to it, you're losing money, and it kills the fun component for me. Because in order to play the mode and have fun, you have to be fully buffed, and it just kills it. So helping in that regard, it would make it more populated, and rather than, at least in EU, I don't know how it's in MENA or in NA or any other servers, we just have one RBF, maximum 2 running on the peak
Prime time, probably.
periods of the day. Like, it, other than that, you don't see it. Like, if I go on queue in the morning, you're not gonna see a game pop. If you go queue, I don't know, midnight, there's probably gonna be one, right? But it is what it is.
Yeah, like
I mean, the only reason it's not populated is like everything else in video. If it doesn't have enough income, or if you spend too much doing it, nobody's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, some people are gonna do it because they actually enjoy it, but it's an absolute minority. You could have every single RBF filled permanently if you just made the silver high enough. That's just how the game works.
I mean, it's easy. Just
I
like the
agree.
current rewards, if you do not spend consumables in it, the current rewards in RBF pretty good. You have fun. You do PvP,
Yes.
and you not lose loot scroll if you're just comparing it with the PV. I believe how much money you can make in an hour? 1 billion? Can you make it?
Yeah, somewhere around that, because
Well,
the
if you
match
win every
itself,
single one,
it's
maybe.
15 minutes, right? Am I saying it right?
Wow.
And the win gives you, how was it, 25 seals?
You can do 3 RBFs an hour if you insta queue.
Yeah.
Because it's like 15 minutes of game time. So there's like time in the start before you get in.
So
Yeah.
the overall income is
Before it starts.
acceptable. Or the only part that to win it, your team needs
I
to
mean,
be,
if-
like to have fun.
If you
Also
win
to
every
be-
single RBF, it's like 600 million an hour, right?
Yes.
Something like that.
Like,
Like, I
they
don't know
can-
if this is acceptable when I make 4 billion an hour grinding, but
Mm.
we can talk about that.
they can buff it a little bit. I'm not saying it's better than before, but if I not use a consumable in RBF, if I not use consumable in RBF, I cannot hit. My damage is not my damage feels weak. I feel weak, and if I use it, I feel good. I feel better. I have fun. I can have fun from it. So we can just simple add an NPC in there in the safe place when you just respawn, get your buffs. When the RBF kicks you, you lose the buff. Simple. And you will have fun and you'll make some decent, barely acceptable money compared to endgame grind.
Also, by having an NPC, like Quendia's mentioning, it would, I think, incentivize more people to run like damage builds. I mean, myself included. When I go into RBF, I don't go that often, but when I do, it's like, why am I playing damage? There's a striker tanking 20 people. Why am I playing damage? And I'm just dying over and over and losing my money, you know? So by having an
Yeah.
NPC, that would, you know, I think that would be a good enough fix. Like the bare minimum fix, at least. Like more people would also play damage and it would maybe balance out a bit more instead of just seeing 30 people running carpet, you know?
Yep.
Any other idea about RBF?
Not much.
Okay.
It's just sad that it is so easy to solve in our heads. Like everyone just came up with a conclusion. Put the buffs on the NPC. Solve.
Yeah. Who knows? In few weeks, like Ronin in chat, Gaha's in chat. I don't know. Let me check with GMCM's in chat. They left. Okay. Probably Mr. J called them. Don't watch that podcast.
Now running is on the chat.
They were in chat. Like maybe in a few weeks we will see a few changes related with what we talked about in this podcast or the latest podcasts. Yeah, like let's talk about the hot topic of this week is Guild League. Before we start the Guild League, I need to. There is a letter from a person that I cannot share his name.
Okay.
There's some kind of letter. This is a little bit toxic letter. I cannot give his name.
Yeah.
Don't give his name because it's forbidden. Fix
Oh, it's
your.
the guy who's
Oh my god. Oh no.
Fix your beloved meta. How come a full DP gear succession berserker becomes most oppressive and the strongest small scale class in the game? What is this overlook? How come there is still no action about it? He is also talking about the fast reaction. 8 glass cannon cannot kill 1 tank. As your play base, we ask you to reduce the shy influence. Instead, you went haywire and they increased the shy influence. The Misty Haze, the only way to do some damage to a DP stacker. You can now allow DP stacking to be this effective in the game because then this happens at 1000 Succession Berserker or Awakening Mystic or Awakening Striker or any class really runs around to create infinite pressure with no way of killing them. You can CC them, no problem, they're unkillable. You miss them, no problem. They can veil pen, they can, tendon, use tendon. You catch them again after they veil, no worries, he presses V. Like, how can you look at the gameplay and be like, that's fine. Just remove the DR brackets or lock the crystal slots in a way that doesn't allow you to put more than 2 of the same, or make each crystal lose 25% of the value if they are same type. I don't know, bro, you're the dev, you figure it out. One more thing, if a guild puts thousands of the points gap to others, they shouldn't be able to find a game like why is rank 1 matches with rank 7. Or in extreme cases, rank 25. That should only happen if there's literally only 2 guilds are in queue. If not, with a gap like that, they shouldn't find a game and get an easy stump. What's the point of having brackets if they aren't designed to protect lower elo guilds from higher elos? W crash out.
Yes.
Yeah, like my suggestion is for Guild League, like every guild can only choose 1 class, like maximum 1 class. If there's 1 berserker, no more to the second option. That's my first.
This one ever. The game is not alive enough for this.
And the other one is just like this tanky shit. Like it's just really bad. It's not only Guild League. It's significant in Guild League, but it's also uncapped siege and an uncapped node. The mistakes, strikers, berserkers, the utility of that you encounter with them, like fully protected CCs. We just checked the CCs of the striker, like 8 or 9 protected CCs that class has. Berserker same 5-6 protected CCs. Whenever I just encounter with them, I just run away. When you catch them, you can kill them, but they catch you, they deal damage. Like, bro, even in uncapped, I really just hate this situation. But TA needs to urgently find some solution about this carpet meta, especially the classes. So let's start from Hygaa and in an order.
Okay. So I've been playing quite a bit of Guild League myself. I agree with the letter. The main issues that the game mode is struggling with is definitely the tank meta. We've been very vocal in previous podcasts. There has to be a way that they can work around it. It could be a thing where you stack the most crystals, then you get nerfed in another aspect. It has to be addressed on how oppressive the classes that most benefit from this meta, which is Circers, Strikers, and Mystics. There has to be a way around it. Secondly, which is Shy dependence. It's been more obvious now than more than ever. Every Guild League composition that you value, it's going through double Shy because you need to be rotating those Misty Hazes left and right, which in theory it's not bad. Like every sort of MMO has this enhancer, this sort of utility class to buff the allies. I'm not against that, but actually relying on that single class to be able to utilize the others is just not healthy for the environment. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about the playstyle of the mode itself, and more of the structure. I agree on the letter. It should be fixed that the best guilds encounter more between each other rather than having these sort of encounters with worse guilds. More than anything, if there's a guild that is gonna try to enjoy this mode for the first time and try to put their foot in it, and they just find insecure or find any other stronger guild and they just get their heads chopped off, they're never gonna touch it again. So yeah, make those brackets of better guilds function properly so that you have top 5 constantly fighting each other, then you have the others, and then you can mix and match all these guilds and you can see a way healthier environment on this. Those are my takes on Guild League. Because honestly, I feel like right now is the content, the PvP content that I enjoy the most, because it unites the most pure essence of PvP, which is you gather your guild friends, 10 people, sure, but you gather your guild friends, you go into battle, everyone talks to the other, you have a lot of fun, and the one thing that prevents us to have like massive amounts of fun is the current meta. But other than that, the game mode in itself, I think it's the most fun for me right now that I'm enjoying out of any other PvP content. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not really sure if it's just straight up the meta that makes you feel this way about Solare. Like, yes, it is toxic to run tanks. It's not the only thing you can run. It just happened to be the meta that like EU can adapt it to. Depending on what class teams runs, it's actually better to run a full damage comp rather than running tanks. So I feel like people are kind of locked into something that they don't really need to be locked into. But yes, obviously, there's no way to defend 2 Zergs running around, desyncing, grabbing, being immortal.
Yep.
This is garbage.
I think, in my opinion, somebody said here, I think that for them, Guild League is like the core essence of PvP or whatever. What I really like about the game mode is that Guild League introduces a new mechanic to BDO, which is called Tempo, which no other game mode has, because if you have a normal GBG, I mean, except you can spawn push, which never happened in the past 3 years, means that whenever you're on the losing foot or on the back foot, or even if you lose 1 or 2 people, you just run back to your spawn, bro, and you reset the whole fight, which makes it really boring and annoying to fight guilds that play in that type of way. But in Guild League, they just entirely removed that mechanic, which means your skill as a team and macro play gets rewarded way more. And if the other guild is on the back foot and you start spawn camping them, it's actually complete hell for them, which is good and bad, because last season there was a fix for that, which is just you could hold your respawns, but I don't know why exactly they did it, but I just know that it got abused to beat the best guild in the game. They got only lost by people choosing the mechanic and just saying that, but now you can't say that anymore, and you can't break the snowball anymore, which is a bit goofy, because they literally did not change a single thing about the game mode, except they slapped the 0 on the rewards, and they just wrote it out again. So I would have wished they would have given a bit more thought to the game mode and fixed the problems.
I don't really feel like you could break the momentum last season by being dead. Like, okay to a bit, but not really. And you were way squishier back then.
Yeah, I mean, you could attempt to respawn together, which is more helpful than getting vacuumed and long grabbed on loop in your spawn, right? And
I mean, this is just shit design, though, because it's like the entire problem of this comes down to one little rodent class that nobody likes. That you cannot leave your spawn without shy buffs, or you cannot play the game.
Yeah.
So if you spawn with shy buffs or something, maybe that would be like a better solution to it. You could actually just play the game out of spawn instead of now I need to go stand next to this guy, hope that he doesn't get CC'd on his buff while I still have protection, and then I get 1 skill again.
Yeah.
So
one quick thing, we will have LOLC hopping in any second now. Just saying.
Perfect
So
timing.
that it's gonna be perfect that he joins right now. But yeah, keep going. Sorry, I had to mention that. Carl, do you have any opinion on the few guild leagues that you've been doing with Red?
That's the thing. Few guild leagues, exactly
Yeah.
that.
What prevents you from playing it more?
It's just my class is very comp reliant. I don't think it works too well with how our guild does it. We usually have way less tanks. We usually have way more DPS, and because of the DR meta and people being overly tanky, it just becomes really frustrating because I'm trying to, full blast combo into people, and then a Zerker decent grabs me or a striker, and usually we're fighting guilds that literally have 2 Zerkers, 2 strikers, bare minimum, that's the bare minimum, and like it's just not fun. I mean, sometimes we get borderline spawn camped by arm bros. Like, yeah, they're highly experienced, yes, they're highly geared and everything, but like I just that's what prevents me the most. I love the fact that guild league's a thing, that you can play with your guild leads, talk to them. Like I rarely communicate with our guild leads, right? But because of guild league, that's really cool. But yeah, the meta is just so punishing for being a DPS, at least as a Musa. Like, I know Rowdy and Woos are having a great time in Armbrows because they run like the perfect comps, and they have so much tank support, so they can hide behind and just wait for the right opportunity, And like in our guild, in Rat, it's just not as possible.
I mean, this
So,
this
yeah.
isn't just a Musa thing though. This goes for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
literally every single class. Like Musa is a more class, and so is Deadeye. Like if you're playing from behind, you're just gonna have a shit time. If you're playing from ahead, you're having a really good time. And
how-
Musa is one of the like weirdest classes because it has one of the best swaps in the game. So if you have full evasion swaps and you have full DR swaps, you can make yourself basically always relevant in the game. But if you don't have both, you're kind of at a spot where you're just gonna be irrelevant if they have like 1 or 2 vacuums.
Yeah. I'm thinking of trying evasion as well. I'll probably get to it before. I mean, the season's gonna end anyway.
I mean, talking about the snowball thing, about specifically the Musa class, I actually agree because that class with shy buffs is completely illegal, by the way, in terms of catching it. It's literally double the speed with shy buffs, and if you're behind and don't get shy buffs, you're literally a sitting duck, bro. Like, you're moving faster than other people just running at you, slower than people just running at you.
I mean, it's not a bad class. It's not the best class either. It is
Yeah.
like an A-tier class because it frankly gets screwed over way too much by vacuum,
Yeah.
which is just the case for half the class in the game because they can't design a mechanic properly.
Yeah,
So,
iframes are just mandatory nowadays, and if you don't have it, it's highly punishing. And yeah, vacuums seem to, like, the devs really seem to want to keep them for some reason, or they don't even want to like look into them. I don't know. I wish they could at least like adjust vacuums maybe to be like higher in CC count or something, just to have an opportunity to escape them. But yeah, if you don't have iframes, it's over.
And before we continue into the vacuums, I would like to say that Lolsey has just joined. So if you want to sort of do a small introduction to yourself and then talk about the Mystic vacuums, I'll leave you all the room for you to go.
Oh, yeah. Can they buff Mystic Vacuum, please? It's weak.
Yeah, sure, right.
And just saying, Musa might be strong at times, but it's also like super easy to make a victim. So it's like it's a coin flip.
yeah, I mean,
So
it just
like
depends
when
what
we
the
were
comp
fighting,
gets.
when we were fighting you and you had 2 Novas, like our Musas were suicidal. You don't have 2 Novas and the Musas are having fun. It's kind of the same like when we fight Grease. When we fight Ace and Grease doesn't get to play, or he gets to play depending on like if we just focus on vacuum game or not. Well, the classes can just ignore us and it doesn't matter. So yeah, Musa is a fun one. Definitely a fun one.
Okay, so since you joined, Lolsey is a well-known Awakening Mystic enjoyer himself. And we've been talking a lot this past podcast about all this sort of tank meta and how to try to fix it. I really wanted to grab these people from the other side because we are talking mostly from the DPS side of things. I would really want to, since okay, Quendia put this on his stream, and since you're the one that provided with that resource, I'm gonna call it like that, I really want you to share your thoughts from your point of view, since you're the most benefit side of this situation.
Me, I think the meta is dog shit. It's boring as fuck, and I don't want to play it. But like, I only do it because we need one, so I was doing it. But that's about it. Like, it's not fun fun to play. It's not fun to play against, and it's crazy they haven't seen it coming. But I guess that's PA for you. Like, they have no idea what they're doing. They just decided to have people have 1 KDR and be like, surely nothing's gonna be wrong. So yeah, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know. Just the amount of defensive item that you can put on. And fuck Shies goes. Like Shies are ruining PvP anyway, so just rework that class and cap the amount of DP that you can put on. It's not too complicated, but they just probably don't care or don't know, or combination of both.
Like our goal is just, point out the situation of the current DP problems of the
I
game.
mean, thing is, vacuums are fucked mechanic in general because they are one of the little abilities left that actively speed up your shit and make you get succinct protections. Especially, I mean, the Nova vacuums are annoying, but they were not as bad as, for example, the Mystic vacuum, because the thing with the Mystic vacuum is it's like SA KD, and they can KD grab you with ignore passive in that thing and then DPA themselves, and it's also vacuum if you hit them with some AoE, although it shouldn't be. And then if they feel funny, they also ult you, which sees you in SA and puts your weapons away, which basically means you get cancer stage 10 50 times in a row. So fighting this Mystic class is the unfun it's ever been, especially because it doesn't die in a combo now, because before you could always one combo every single class in the entire game if you just equipped the right build for it, but they removed that mechanic with the DR changes. So yeah, Mystic and Zerka are like the classes that make the game the least fun it's ever been, in my opinion.
So how would you guys all give one change that you could do to this current meta in order to feel better? Lolsey mentioned capping the amount of DR that you can gain from items. What are some other suggestions that we could have?
I mean, yeah, either that or cap your scaling and tune it down the line when you have no items and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, just anything to reduce it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also super weird because if you just remove the tanks out of the equation, fighting DPS versus DPS, full damage versus full damage, or even some tanky build is completely fine and super fun. Quite frankly, even more fun than before because you don't get randomly too skilled in SA anymore, which means you can have a really healthy game if they would just remove the tankiness stacking, because a Zerka can spend 6 bill and have more value than a 3 trillion gear capped DPS player, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So the
I
crystals,
think that's
they can make Von and Bon decrease the stats.
Yes.
That's the first thing. Von can give 10 DR maybe. Bon can give 15, but Jin can give not 29. It's 29 right now if I'm not wrong. Can give 20 maybe. That's the thing.
I'm gonna be honest though.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a terrible solution. Like you're
at
just
the end of the
pushing
day-
the problem a little bit forward. Because everybody's not gonna instantly be able to buy it. But
No,
this will not. Yeah, but the fucking gear guilds like us or Armbrows are still gonna have the players that have these crystals, and it will solve absolutely nothing. If anything, the weaker guilds will have to play full AP, and they're gonna have an even worse time because they won't have any tanks to grab our DPSers. So they're just getting stat checked everywhere. That's why I think it is a bad solution.
So I'm just continuing. When you just use 3 crystals, same category, the remaining 3 will lose the efficiency by 60-70%. So even if you just use the 6 DR crystals, the first 3 one will give you 20, so you're at max 60 DR, and the remaining will give you 70% less DR compared to the other 3. That's the first solution. It will be same for evasion. They can buff the evasion crystals if they want. Also, the other thing that crystals should be separated. All the crystals, defensive crystals, should have 2 options, DR and evasion. If a class is evasion based, it shouldn't be able to benefit DR. If a class DR based, it shouldn't be able to benefit the evasion. Already DR classes cannot benefit because even in the basic build they are able to just shred your evasion with the basic accuracy. So it's not a thing. So it will just, put some kind of border, thick line in between evasion and DR builds.
Yeah, I think I agree with this. I don't like the fact that gauntlets have always been able to run either DR or evasion, especially when you have game modes that try to be competitive, right? Like you have Arena Varsha mainly, different tournaments there, and then you have a gauntlet who's able to swap builds in between the rounds. And one round he's immortal because of evasion, and the other round he's immortal because of DR. So it's basically a complete gamble for the enemy team if they're gonna run accuracy or if they're gonna run full, if they want to do damage to the class whatsoever.
Yeah.
So this is why I would like, if you're going to keep evasion in the game, by the way, I always hated evasion as a stat. I think it would have been way better of a game if it never even existed. But at least make it so the classes that run it kind of have to run it.
Yeah. So the classes like Striker, Mystic, instead of buffing them, maybe PA should start to nerf them. When I saw for example, Mystic's vacuum changes from 17 seconds, Super Armor KD at the end of it every 12 seconds, like 1-2 seconds Super Armor. Like class is already full Super Armor, another Super Armor like a Giga Utility KCC in it. Maybe we should nerf these classes in a proper way. Of course, I'm not saying let's kill all the classes. And for example, they should decrease the number of the CCs, protected CCs in their kit, so they can stay in full protected, they can grab you, they can do whatever they want, but like shitting SA CC in this game is unacceptable. Like SA full damage, if Striker can bomb people, but also should be killable too. Look, Mag is a perfect example for that. He's just running he has gear. I'm not saying that he's gearlet or something, but 1.2k evasion, 620 DR, almost 900 AP. That class running around like almost immortal and also dealing giga damage in good leagues. There's something wrong with it. And also the most was an AMD buff, the CC that he's applying, because I don't know who just decided to make the roar skill. I can remember the skill. It's just the striker is just a battle
it's
cry.
basically the Zerker, bro.
Yeah, like Berserker is also same. Like I'm just giving an example, but all the three shits are the same. Like Mystic, Berserker, Striker. Like we need an urgent balance in these classes. There are lots of things to talk about them because they're not broken in one way. Like in almost every way they're broken. One of them is in a utility way broken. The other one is like in every way. The other one is just extremely tanky. Like I don't know where to talk about. Like reduce the damage reduction rate in these classes to 15, not 25. Thank you very much. The sustain in the Striker, please reduce it. If they just take some damage, if they just want to be tanky, let them be tanky. But meanwhile, tanking giga damage also sustain that much, HP in few seconds. No. Same situation for Mystic. That PA needs to get nerfed from 0 to 100 in 0.5 second. All Mystics full HP and 80% damage reduction. Sorry, but who the fuck gave that 80% damage reduction to that PA? Like who just decided that? Fuck you. I have to be clear that like every PA is in the game maxed out at 50, capped at 50, but Mystic is 80%. Who just gave it? Like nobody knows. Like if we're talking about balance, if some guy has something at max, like PA is a 50%, that guy needs to like have 50% PA. There are lots of things in the skill kit that we need to talk. He needs to fix them. I'm done with seeing like Striker, Mystic, Berserker everywhere. Like I don't want to see them. I only want to see their class masters. 5 years old Mystic player. When I see the guy, I should say that that guy is class master. Well done, this guy is playing. But random guy is tagging Mystic and being the most, utility class in the game in few days. I don't want to see it, or Striker or Berserker. I'm just giving an example. I don't know what you guys think. There are lots of things to talk about these carpet meta and also the, broken classes.
I want to direct this into Lolsy because we are talking very harshly into this situation, but if you would have to point it out, how would you address it? From a Mystic perspective, but if you have any insights of Zerkers, Strikers?
I mean, the moment that you reduce the tank in general by fixing the DR stack and that kind of shit, then the issue is pretty much resolved because all the people that you're talking about, the people that tag the class and then face roll and they get a lot of CCs, which is not always like, that doesn't mean that you actually did anything useful, by the way. But like, that kind of people are just going to have to play less tanky and then they will just die. Because like XIGMATEK, okay, Striker is like complete full SA pretty much, sure. So it's not easy, but when you see XIGMATEK, he gets one shot because he's playing not tanky. Like XIGMATEK is not an issue the moment that you just focus on grabbing it, and then it's dead. It's like we really had no issues when fighting Mythic against like XIGMATEK was not an issue. He pops off against like randoms and other people that like don't focus on him. But let's go for it, Abby.
Okay, so we talk about Striker being super broken and stuff like this. I think it's like hilariously enough in specifically Guild League, I think the class is kind of overrated.
Okay.
Like a lot of people blindly assume the class is like omnipotent and stuff, but it's much better to have Mystics or Zerks in the current meta.
I sort of
like
the Striker, sure.
Yeah, Striker is basically something you run full DP and it sits on your Shy in the backline. it doesn't really play to CC DPS because by the time it does it, well, it doesn't really have the damage if it wants to play a build where it can live. And it's usually, yeah, it's a pure disruption class. It doesn't do a lot of the things that people call broken about it in serious Guild League, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's something very attached to you guys, to Insecure, because you most definitely are not defined by the meta. Like, you play your own style, you're the most talented players or one of the most talented players group of people, and it shows, right? You lock on a target, you say, okay, if we combat this sort of playstyle in that regard, we are gonna be doing good, right? Not only you manage to identify the issue, but play in accordance to actually do well, right? You're very clever in that regard. But yeah, I want to redirect into this again into LoLC. Like, do you think that you guys deserve the hate in regards like into Mystics? And if so, I think Sages in one podcast we mentioned about how we could be nerfed or what we done. So before A does anything to your class, if you would have to say a couple of things that could be tweaked, in what way would you like to see them?
I mean, I don't really care what they do because we've been going through like after reboot, the class was dog shit and no one was playing it, and memeing it was dead. And Blue Squadron was screaming at me for playing Awakening Mystic during the global siege, calling me out. So it was like whatever, like I don't care. So it doesn't really matter what they do. Just they don't know what to do with our vacuum because they've changed it like 5 or 6 times since reboot. They added slow, then they removed the slow. They added minus accuracy, then I think they removed it, and now they added KD. Like they have no idea what to do with the vacuum. So I guess they're just gonna change it again. What's new? Like that's completely fine. Just remove the KD. I think they added the KD because they also at the same time added the stun striker. So they just wanted to balance out. They give striker a stun in Awakening. That they gave us a KD in Awakening. Don't think anyone asked for the KD. If anything, some people were complaining when it came out because like it would vacuum and sometimes cap someone in Solare by mistake. I think Eliton was complaining about it at the time. So they could just remove the KD if that's an issue. Like it's whatever. I don't think it does really matter. The PA change also, a lot of people didn't like it. The scaling of the HP, they could fix it for sure. I just make it fixable, like make it like, I don't know, like Dracania. Also, Dracania was pretty broken because also they were fully healing. So
Yeah.
just make it like a fixed percentage or something. But they also like, I don't know, they have no idea. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
it's not. I
how
was just saying that Awakening Mystic is already less protected than Strikers. So I don't think it really needs less protection. It just needs to just fix the vacuum problem. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm gonna do 2 questions. It would be, how would your class feel like instead of on a 25 damage reduction rate on 15?
I don't know. I would have to try it. That's hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because
It's
of
just
that
hard to say.
thing, like what I'm trying to, I gave that example, it's because that free stats in the game, they are most of the time make the classes broken or meta. Most of the time, not only direct damage. And that 25% damage reduction should be on Sac Nova or something, because they should be the tanky one. In theory, the class is just carrying a tower shield bigger than herself, and the gauntlets only wearing gauntlet. There's nothing to protect themselves with giga damage, but they are the tankiest one. It shouldn't be. Like 15% is a good place to make them, at least when they become tanky, they will feel tanky again, but when they're not tanky, they're still feeling tanky. That's the problem because of that 25 damage reduction. Even in PvE, if you guys play Striker or Mystic, you can feel the super armor damage reduction.
Yeah, I honestly don't think the super armor damage reduction is the biggest problem. Like, the class is basically full SA when it does shit. If it dies standing, it's useless. I think the bigger problem is just like the free evasion and DR, which makes them stand up from combos. I don't mind Striker being tanky like standing. I just want them to die if they get CC'd.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, at the same time, I can't really sit and say that the 25% was ever justified because the classes do have a lot of iframes. Like, they have very, very many responsive iframes compared to a lot of other tank classes.
So,
but yeah, it does spend a bit more in the say than rat classes, for instance.
What I was gonna, with that question, what I wanted to probably like stop the conversation of Guild League here, because I know that Abby, you have to leave quarter, in like a very little time. The point that I wanted to come out with this was, is it a mixture of factors? Like, the meta suit in the class is very good. Like, are the classes good because of the meta? And it should be a thing that, should the meta be nerfed? Should the classes be nerfed altogether? But then again, we don't want to see these classes have the Dracania treatment. We don't want them to fall into the void and be forgotten forever. So what do you guys think about this?
I mean, the thing is, Dracania, I like the state of Dracania if every other class was in a similar boat, right? It's not at the point where they ruin the flow of the class. It still feels alright to play. The buttons are just not crazy. So I wish they would do this to a lot of more classes, but I don't know if people would be fine going back to a more like CC heavy meta.
Yeah,
because nowadays everybody just plays perma protected, and that's like the reality of the game.
I mean, I thought originally they wanted to do that, no? Like when they were asking, like it was a long time ago already. I think like a year ago or more. Yeah, like a couple options of should we go back to a less protected meta, and like from what I remember, everybody wanted that. Like a lot of people wanted that option too. I think it was.
I know a lot of people from my previous guild would come back if that was the case.
So like, I believe that they apply that only. I think they asked that question for only Dracania because only Dracania got that treatment. As they removed front guard, like more front guard class. I mean, I think they asked it for Dracania only. They didn't mention that. It seems like that. Like I don't know.
The thing about Drac is, like when it was meta, it was a bit cancelled due to the healing and damage and shit. But at the end of the day, the class actually took skill to play because you catches were unprotected. You had a pretty decent grab. And the movement was unprotected, so it wasn't even as cancerous to fight, at least for me, in my opinion, compared to like all of these gauntlets, because they just spam their funny little 50 protected CCs, which are often multi-hit on loop, bro, and they just press the same buttons on loop, and they don't care what happens, right? So on top of them being unkillable, it also promotes, once again, low-skill gameplay, which is the worst thing that can happen in this game, in my opinion, because the main selling factor of this game should be combat, or is combat, rather.
I mean, I feel like this problem, the game lost a lot of flavor way before. Like Dracania is not like one of the most skillful classes ever released in this game.
Yeah, but I mean,
like you say this, but I like when I played Elon, for instance, if he tipped me in the back and I would sell Puriet at the same time, I would lose 80% of my HP bar. I would CC the guide and I would do my full combo. He would be 20% HP, then he would get up, press one button, full HP, and I would die.
I mean, the stats just made it way too overtuned, yeah, but if they would have just fixed the stats, I think the class would have honestly been fine compared to like all of these stat check classes we have nowadays. Oh,
I mean,
what is nowadays? Like,
I mean, there is no flavor to playing Striker. It is, I mean, no class has flavor anymore. You just rotate 4 buttons. And they're covered, and then if you happen to land it, mostly nowadays you just kill people standing, or you wait for a circle or something to land a grab, and then you hit it. It's not like you play, I'm going to play for this guy's one ability to CC him in it. Nobody thinks like this anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, I know a lot about all the classes that I learned from the past, right? But I feel like most people playing just don't know classes anymore. Like there's no incentive to actually learn a lot of classes because you get away with basically rotating 4 buttons and pressing E when you see a hit marker most of the time.
I would love to go back to the days of actually using a pre-awakening. I know a lot of people don't know what that is nowadays already, but like back to like Musa never had such a good pre-awakening kit, and yet because of Stub Arrow as an example, I outplayed so many people back in the day with it, right? Nowadays, what's the point of this arrow that's unprotected? I'll catch people sometimes, right? But like realistically, what's the point? Just rotate perma SA over and over and over, and that's it. That's PvP. Like I want to go back to those days.
I mean, to be fair, well, I don't know. At least my class still uses a lot of pre-awakening. They removed it
Yeah,
from
some
the
do.
soccer, but only a select few use main hand, like a lot.
I mean, a lot of the positives in the game back then as well was that everybody was kind of new to the game, and a lot of people were still bad even a couple of years into the game. So it's not like in hindsight where you look back and you look at like Awakening Ninja, and it's like, okay, if this guy is really good, he's just going to basically auto-win every matchup, right?
Yeah.
And then, well, that wouldn't have been fun if you played it today either. But back then it was
People got better, and the game got simpler and more protected, and was based, well, trading gets rewarded more now than the CC.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays it's about taking better trades than about looking for gaps. So like back in the day, you couldn't beat classes and stuff if you didn't have enough gear. You were just doomed to lose to corporates no matter what. But even if your gear was bad back then, you could beat other classes by CCing them. Nowadays, if I play Deadeye against a Deadeye who is 40 gear score down on me, it doesn't matter if this guy is the best player on the fucking planet. He's going to lose 100% of the time.
I mean, yeah, well, Data is also a really big stat check class, but yeah, I know what you
No,
mean.
this is legit not a Dead, I think. This goes for Awakening Megu, it goes for Sage, it goes for basically every single class in the meta. I bet you can't think of a single class. Okay, you can think of like Ninja or something, but nobody plays Ninja.
I mean, talking about the gear thing, to be fair, like Sage is really insanely broken, but I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people who didn't invest a lot of time on it are kind of running it down completely on that class. They're still pulling decent stats, but for example, if you compare to the Sage my guild, CJ, like that guy is 750 gear score and he does better than people having like 50 more gear score on him, right? Because
True. That I mean, there's some truth to that, but this goes for every single class too. I'm just saying that maybe that's also an indication of the class being a little bit too strong. When CJ does like 900k damage, he has 2 pesos of gear, 40 gears go down, and he 2 skills everybody.
I think it's a combination of skill and the class being a little bit too much right now.
No, yeah, I'm not saying CJ is not good at the game. Like, he's definitely better
CJ is
than...
the fucking goat.
Yeah, he's better than other Sages of the class. There's no doubt.
For sure. There's no doubt about that.
So
It's
If
just that,
CJ is the best Sage, then why is Tassador in Insecure and he's in Sovereign?
Ooh, we're
Yeah.
throwing some bullshit in here. Haha.
Tassador been insecure to test some guildic stuff, it's fine. He will go back to NAP after the season ends, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the fact that Tassador is like low-key the most chill person on the planet. Bro never tilts.
God,
Humble Herald,
beef.
that guy. And then on the other side we have
Yeah, Iron
the man with the list. Let's say that.
It's actually such a good title.
Oh god.
The list was skilled to dawn. For anybody who was there, the list was skilled.
Everyone
So-
deserves to be loved the way they are.
Want them to die for this, and so he did.
at the end of the day, like, I don't know, I'll just make a list for you. I don't know if you guys agree or not. Like, we should point out these classes in the game with any reason. They are broken with few reasons, with many reasons. Sack Berserker is number one. Like, number one is on the lists, and I'm just checking the classes one by one. Striker Awakening for overall, Mystic Awakening. Shy, of course, they should do something about Shy. Hashashin Succession need urgent nerf. Like, well, I don't know how they just, while buffing Succession in PvE, they just created a monster. Sage Awakening,
Yes.
Awakening Mayagu.
I disagree with this.
Sak Dosa, like,
I think
which one?
Mago's
You
fine and
disagree?
Dosa is also fine. But I don't know if I ever heard, but Awakening Mystic should come after Zerka.
no, this is not a line. I just checked the
okay.
classes. I
Yeah,
just
just
point out the
pointing
classes.
out
I just named
Oh.
them.
On which one
Yeah.
do you disagree, Avi?
Awakening
Mega?
Mega, yeah.
Okay.
I think that anybody who's like relatively good at the game now is going to have the hands to deal with this class.
Yeah. Okay.
You have a very large window to dodge. So there is still a problem with the class, which is like based on the servers being terrible, where he just appears on you and spins, which is, a little desync thing that happens a bit too often. But I don't think nerfing the class is the solution to that problem.
I don't
No,
know,
no.
again, like, Awakening Mago is such a terribly designed class because you press your 3 funny buttons on loop that have a 5-second cooldown, then you go into 10-second cooldown, full iframe dash that you can cast twice over the entire map, and then you have your 5-second tilt protected CCs up again, and you press the same sequence of buttons again. It's so boring to play, and it's so simple, and it gets rewarded so much. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they made it unfun to play now as well, because they made it like clunky. And I would have much rather have seen them put the CC somewhere else instead of the spin, and maybe even nerf the damage on the spin a bit, but you still had the like flow of the class feeling good, and then you had to play a bit more stationary to CC, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they designed the class terribly, and they executed the nerfs terribly, and yeah, I mean, everything about this class is just terrible. And I also do not believe that Awakening Mago players themselves have fun playing that class, because you press the same sequence over and over again. I cannot believe that but that's just my opinion.
It is.
I feel like a lot of my opinion about Awakening Mega applies to like every class with teleports, by the way. I think teleports are terrible. Straight up terrible. I think original block jump was a fine teleport, but outside of that, where people are just perma-invis dashing around, it's just terrible class design overall.
Like Sakusa.
I think Wanda pointed this out in one of the podcasts that while everyone's moving, there should be a way that you can keep track on them visually.
Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest problem with Awakening Sage. It
I
just
mean,
appears 4 monitors away, and then it's back, and then it's up and down.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at your minimap. It's a bit cancer.
Yeah, but how can you just look at the minimap while in the, fighting in 50 versus 50? And how can you define that which one is the Zerker or something? It's quite hard to just define.
Yeah.
In 1 versus 1, maybe in Battle Arena, but how can you just like, everyone needs to be shown, even if they're in iframe, except maybe a few scenarios, few situations.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree.
Like, you guys agree with these classes needs some kind of adjustments?
Well, you talked about Sakvusa. I don't think. Well, the thing is, Sakvusa's
No,
ult
I
is
said
still
I just gave an example. Sakbusa also has that
Oh.
dash thing, invisible.
Yeah.
That's why. No, Sakbusa is pretty okay PvP class right now. No
Yeah.
grab class can deal damage bomb, but while the
Yes.
like it's okay class for me. Like
She has
Yeah.
the utility, she has the damage.
Yeah.
It's a
Could you
fun class.
repeat the list then again?
okay, Sak Berserker,
Yes.
Awake Striker, Awake Mystic, Shy Kashashin, Awakening Sage, Awakening Mago, Sak Dosa.
You talk
Fuck
about
those.
Sakdosa. Yeah, I'm just curious about
Sakdosa.
Sakdosa because on EU, like nobody plays Sakdosa. I
Nobody
can
If
plays
see
they
why
nerf
it
all
could
the other
be
classes
on the
in the
list.
meta, you guys will see that how broken that class. Because there are few classes
think-
dominating large scale, especially with Sakdosa. Normally, you would expect that the Awakened Dosa dominate large scale, but
Mhm.
Sakdosa is way more broken than it. Fully protected, mobility, good damage, good DPS with block jump. After that, with that block jump is just iframe SA knockdown, and the pet is CCing you from back. For example, the WC or C skill,
Yeah.
I can remember.
Yeah, the C skill.
Like,
yeah.
There are
Neutral
lots
general,
of
I
hidden
think.
broken things in the class. Like you cannot see it. It's because the other ones are like slightly more broken than the Sakdosa. But if they nerf the other classes, you guys will see that there will be lots of Sakdosa in the game.
I mean, this is also the problem with balancing when there's not many players playing it.
Yeah.
As I said
Yep.
before, like
That's
no
why
one
I'm
knows
saying that
about-
fast reaction. If they fast react, when we point out the classes, then there will be
Yeah.
balance, not perfect balance. The top and bottom will not be that much big.
I mean, I'm surprised that you didn't mention Awakening Hash.
Yeah.
This
Ah,
class is
Hash
also
is-
insanely strong right now.
Yes.
Like,
Awakening
yeah,
Hash
I
is
think there's a
strong,
lot
but
of people playing that class.
not that much broken. Like compared to other ones, I don't
No.
know. Maybe we
I
can
don't-
put it in
I
Sakdosa.
wouldn't put-
Sag hash, honestly.
like you're just talking about certain things right now, though, like large scale and things like this. Like if we were to talk about 1v1s and Solare and stuff like this, there's more classes that you need to add to the list.
What I'm
actually.
trying
Like,
to point out, these classes needs urgent nerf. Then we can talk about the other ones later. Like I'm not saying Awake Hush is bad PvP class. Like or Sakuno is already like very strong, isn't it? But it's not the priority. These
yeah, I mean,
classes,
sure.
the priority.
But at the same
these
time,
classes.
it's not really a class nerf issue. It's more like just changing how the game works for everyone with the DR crystals and stuff.
Yeah,
I-
like we
I
talked
think
about that.
The meta is the first one that has to get.
I'm gonna be honest, Zerg, there's no way this class is fun to play for the Zergs, and it's not fun for anyone else. Like, if they nerf the tankiness of the Zerg right now, this class does nothing. It does literally nothing. It has no damage in, okay, it does in 1v1s and stuff, but nobody really cares about 1v1. Like, outside of that, this is the worst class in the game you can play. Like,
Yeah.
Gillig and a Zerg in full AP or something. You're gonna have the worst time of your life.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Like the class scaled so shit with damage that it's not worth to go damage. If the class can get one combo, like we saw before the DR changes, nobody will pick the class because it's just not worth putting it in. You will literally get too skilled in the grab extent.
Yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't scale bad with damage, it's just you can't do your damage. You're gonna stand there smashing the ground while 3 casters or Dead Eyes, whatever, are shooting at you. Like, it's over.
Yeah. So soon I have Node War. 40 minutes. I
Yeah.
think we should, take the last takes from everyone. And if you guys want, we can do this thing next week. We will try to do this podcast and every week, and we can just set the time according to you most of the time. We talked about many things in this week, and the next week's topic will be open world PvP, and for example, good declaration, how we can fix it. We can talk about that. I have many good ideas in my mind. You guys have ideas. And hardcore servers and PV and PvP income comparisons. Maybe we can find, or maybe they will add more things in the next Global Lab on Friday. We can talk about that.
Yeah, hopefully they fix the PvP next Friday. Hopefully, right?
It's too much load for them. They can't even balance PV.
Okay, last round of thoughts, guys.
Yeah.
I will start by saying again the typical thank you for everyone to being here. I know that people are getting off of work and doing their effort to be here on time, and this actually means a lot for us, for the community. I think it's a good thing that you guys spend the time and take the effort for this. So again, very thankful for this. And yeah, feel free. You guys have the information, and I'm tagging people every now, here and then. So feel free to come by any other time that you feel like the urge to say something about the topic that it's gonna go with the podcast of that week. So yeah, you take it from here, Abby. What would you say as closure final thoughts?
Game bad. It's never gonna get better. Get over it, guys.
Oh, we fall into the doom.
Carl?
Yeah, I'm on the same side as Avi. I kind of gave up, but I think this podcast was still worth attending, and I appreciate for being chosen and to listen mostly. But
Next week
I
you
don't
come
know.
and give your best on hardcore.
Oh, I don't know about next week. I might be dead by then, you know. But anyways,
Ah.
what else did I want to say? I don't know actually. Buff Musa. No, I just want to go back. I want to go back to, like I said earlier, I want to go back to the times where we used both of our kits more often. We didn't just spam essays mindlessly. Too many iframes exist nowadays. Tank meta. There's a lot of big problems. Yeah, as a veteran player, I wish we could go back in time quite a few years. But anyways, hopefully the game gets better.
Hopefully. Lolsy?
Yeah, I mean, besides Buff Mystic, can we go back to like 2019 when the game was fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Well, TNL is up next. Oh wait, no, that died as well. Unlucky.
Oh
Yep.
no.
Yeah, how's it called? Chrono something. That's the next KAKKO game.
Lock in, boys. We're
Holy.
going there.
Like 2 months old, 2 months is the max, or maybe 3 months, and they'll be dead again.
Of new MMOs. Yeah. New MMOs don't live longer than 2 months, guys.
Nico,
Hey.
what do you think?
Nico? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, we basically agreed on everything. So, I mean, the thing is, all of these issues, like, this is not rocket science, right? Everybody knew about this already, and we just repeated the issues, and even the solutions are quite simple for it. At least everybody that suggests solutions agrees on that, but they're still not changing it, so we'll see what happens out of this. As the last thing, do not love my class, do not listen to this AVL guy, I swear.
Warlock?
Yeah, honestly, I'm happy that like most people here were kind of on the same page, especially regarding like the bigger issues, like some low class balance stuff aside. The fact that everyone agrees that the carpet meta is unfun, both like DPS and carpet players, like surely PA has to notice that copium. But yeah, we'll see. Anyways,
I think
been fun.
everyone is, yeah, and everyone is on the same page pretty much on 80% of the stuff. Like all the feedback that I'm getting from the players that I'm contacting is that they're listening, they agree to the most of it, and they really hope that it means something or it can give any sort of value to the current state and what they are trying to do in the upcoming weeks. So we just have to wait and pray, I guess.
Yeah. So it's time to say goodbye to YouTube. Yeah. And also I need to go to Node War. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I gotta go. These people also gotta go.
Have a good
And
one,
this pod,
boys.
yeah,
GG,
this pod
bye.
will go on YouTube. And yeah,
See you.
See you.
see you.
Thank you, Carl.
See ya.
Bye-bye.